So welcome to another edition of Suburban Bourbon. This is still season 2, coming to a close, episode 7. We are at the Whiskey Bar at 2767 Euclid Heights Boulevard, here right in Coventry. And we're very, very excited to be here tonight. Tell them why, Joe.
That's right. I mean, first and foremost, we have Jay Novak here to talk to us about one of the most impressive collections of whiskey.
It is.
In all of, like, not even just Northeast Ohio, anything I've ever seen. So we're excited to hear not only the story about how this started, but also, you know, how do you even come by all these bottles,
right?
And the experience you have here at the whiskey bar. So first
and foremost,
meet the owner.
Yes.
That's right. So thanks for having us, Jay.
So I'm very glad that you guys stopped by, and I'm going to tell you the story how everything started. I'm in restaurant business for the 17 years, and then last 7 years I had an epiphany for the whiskey bar, and I didn't have anything like that in mind. I want some sidekick as whiskey was already in, and I'm maturing. I'm out of clubs and anything like that. Now I enjoy more something like this, and then I was thinking maybe I should open something I can enjoy it and make it useful.
Yeah.
And I had a godfather. He was a little older gentleman, and he had a lot of experience with scotches.
Yeah.
And then we started with 50 different bottles. And after that, journey took us right here. We started in the basement, and then because we are experiencing bourbon renaissance, demand was bigger and bigger, and then we were forced to search for the bottles, use all connections we can get, a lot of whiskey representatives, buy whatever we need to buy to get particular bottle. That's how it works usually. And selection started, how I said, with 50, then next year was 150, then 200, 250. It's a process. And some bottles we are able to repeat. Sometimes we just have it. For example, this Old Forester birthday bottle, 12-year-old. That was one of my favorite bourbons since COVID hit. Unfortunately, we weren't able to.
Is it the birthday?
That's
we had some of that down in Kentucky.
So
we can't get it though.
Yeah, so we were at Justin's House of Bourbon. We went at Louisville, and that was one of the 4 bourbons that we tried at a tasting. And why did we try it there? Because you can't get it.
Yeah.
And the fact that you cannot get it tastes even better. I mean, I don't know if it's for real, it's just illusion, but that's how it is usually.
Totally agree.
And then, we expand from the basement, we expand to the first floor, and we are running both floors. Of course, after COVID hit, we are a little slower with the basement operation, but we are getting there. Hopefully after New Year, we'll be again full force.
This is a phenomenon. And first of all, I love this, the name of the place, the Whiskey Bar. Yeah, perfect, right?
To the point.
and I had heard of your place, didn't quite know where it was, and after, quite frankly, driving here, especially if you're on the west side, or it's really not that bad. I mean, you basically go like you're going to the Cleveland Clinic, and you just keep driving.
That's right.
And it's right here in Coventry. It's really not that bad of a drive, and it's worth it. There's a lot around in the area too.
We do have a lot of customers from all over. They are coming from different cities around because we do have that selection. Sometimes we have calls, do you have this? We said yes, and then group comes, they enjoy it. I mean, the reason why selection is that big, because that's what we do for a living. I mean, that's our focus. We have super low selection with beer and wine, and super low selection with tequila and vodka, but but we do have whatever we can in a whiskey world.
Yes.
And it's not only bourbon or American whiskey. There's Japanese, Indian, Taiwanese, Irish, of course, Canadian, Scotches, of course.
And you brought up that bourbon, the bourbon renaissance, which we've experienced. The bottles that we used to be able to get, now you either can't get them or it's super difficult to find. So is bourbon your best seller out of all the whiskeys, or what would you say, like when you look at?
If you want me to be really, really honest,
we want honesty.
for the house, the best profit is Scotch, but definitely we sell more bourbon than anything else.
So more volume, but when it comes down to pure dollars.
That's right, pure dollars. I mean, probably the clientele for Scotch is willing to pay top dollar,
Right.
but the masses are looking for bourbon.
Yes.
And even the Scotch guys are trying bourbon, what I see lately, because it's just in more and more. Wasn't like that from very beginning. I mean, was going in that direction, but we did sell a little more Scotch, let's say first year, than today. Today, definitely bourbon is the best seller.
I was surprised that we did a show at a Japanese steakhouse and in the Rocky River, Sakana, and tried a lot of the Japanese scotches and whiskeys. And I was surprised they taste a lot like Scotch, a little smoother though. But in my opinion, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting, you know.
Japanese, they did copy Scotch operation 100 years ago, or I don't know exactly when, but in that time frame, they copied the Scotch operation. You cannot copy the thing 100% because, you know, everything matters. Water, oak, everything matters, like a food. That's right. And then they have this Japanese product. I mean, we know Japanese are very precise. Whatever they do, they make it good. I mean, there's some of them are really, really good. Now, maybe I shouldn't really point, but you know, I can tell you for the money which one is really good for me. There is no really rules in pleasure, but you know, for the money, this guy here, Nika from the Barrel, little higher proof, little stronger, but full body. It's also good maybe for the bourbon drinkers to try it, because won't be as different.
And it's interesting because that's what we found is that certain Japanese whiskeys taste more like bourbon. A lot taste more like Scotch, but varied levels of it. So we really went down that path of trying a number of them, and there's a lot of similarities to Scotch, but we definitely saw instances where it was very bourbon-like.
And it seems like bourbon too. We've talked about this before as well, and you've probably experienced this. Where, you know, early times is a great example. You know, the early times bourbon. It's not expensive, but it's a good bourbon, right? Just like wine, you could find a good bottle of wine if you really like it, $30, or spend $500. But it's, I think, part of the fun of bourbon now is finding those, you know, unique. We'll go different states and just say, what's the local bourbon here? Let's pick one up. You know.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, the classic. We went to Buffalo Trace during the Bourbon Trail this past summer, and they had Blanton's. And Blanton's you can't find at any liquor store. But the fact that we were able to get it at cost, and it's one of, and it's a great drinking bourbon.
For the money,
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
course, for the money, yes.
Absolutely. So, have you always liked bourbon? Or is this
Actually, now, now, if I'm gonna be brutally honest, I like also Scotch. You get spoiled very easy. Now, I'm not drinking Scotch on a daily basis, but the problem with these things, when you try good stuff, then stays in your memory, and it's hard to go down unless you have to. You know what I mean? But whatever is aged, I can tell you one thing from my experience: if it's aged, then it's good, regardless what it is. You can drink a rum, you can drink whiskey. If it's, let's say, 20 years old, there is a lot of flavor. There is complexion is just good, and like everything else, you know, if you put love in it, then it's good. Can be this or that. Can be great rye whiskey. You know, if it's aged, it's nice, it's good. If it's balanced, if you know, whoever is the master, if he did good job, this is it. There is no really rule. Sometimes you can have a lot of 10-year-old, which is not expensive at all. It'll be just a couple bucks more than a mass production, and will be great. Bourbon, for example, Eagle Rare, 10-year-old, for the money. You have a great bourbon.
It's funny. I was it's one of my favorites, and it's always the example I give. $35, and for $35 you can't beat it, and it's such a quality bourbon.
That's why I point this one. Japanese, I mean, they're a little pricier. This one is around, let's say, $70 or $80, something like that. I mean, for the money, you have high-end drink. It's not for the daily basis, for celebration and full body. You have feeling like, you know, you are drinking really good you know.
It's funny you talk about aging too. And I, for the record, I have not bought my own because I'm too cheap. But you know, I'll have a shot of Louis. You know, Louis the 13th. I can't afford it, but I've had people buy it for me, and it is. I didn't like it at first, but then as I tasted it, now I have that taste in my mind. I'm like, this is, and you can, to your point, it's old, and you can taste that age in it.
The thing is, you know, also takes a little bit of time till you adjust.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
when how I said earlier, my godfather who was with me in beginning, and he showed me some of these aged ones, and they were super expensive. I didn't like it, the fact that they are just that pricey. I really hate them in the beginning because I was the main investor, he was just a face. And then when I give him checkbook and then he brings just $1 of whiskey and spends thousands of dollars, I mean, my curly hair goes straight. And then when I tried, I was was disappointment. I said, I don't think that's really worth it. And then with the time, when you try different things, then you start to appreciate. And those things are the aged ones. They are not for the daily consumption. They are for, you know, celebration, for the special moments, special groups, special, you know, environment. And then you sip on it, you enjoy it. You also eat a little bit. You drink water, and you just enjoy it.
And I think the Louis, part of it, the mystique is you can't even touch the bottle.
Right. Right. That's the whole.
I mean, you can even sell. The thing is, you can even sell the empty bottle. You can sell the empty bottle.
So let's ask you this question. So, you know, somebody is looking to go out for the evening on the weekend. Tell us why they should come here to the whiskey bar.
I mean, first of all, we are super unique, and that's what we do for a living. If you want to try good whiskey, this is the place, because we can walk you from $5 to $500. That means you are the boss. Your budget or your curiosity will guide us. And if you are comfortable to spend $30 for a flight, we can hook you up probably with the high-end bourbon. But you know, if you are willing to pay $300 for the flight, then we're gonna probably hook you up with the high-end Scotch. And you can also have a, you know, super lower-end drink if you are in mood for it.
Sure.
We do have great cocktails, and our cocktails are with specific bourbons for specific cocktail. For example, our old-fashioned is always with Buffalo Trace.
I saw your well bourbon is Buffalo Trace and Four Roses.
Yeah, exactly. And Woodford.
For the mules, let's say Kentucky Mule, Buffalo Trace is for the old-fashioned. Then we go, the Woodford Rye will be for the Sazerac. Then a Bullet Rye will be for Manhattan. We also have, you know, high-end vermouths. For the cocktails, Noé will tell you a little more specifics about that because he's mixologist. But every little detail matters, and it's very, very important that everything is balanced, and we are trying to be as professional as we can, because this is what we do.
And it's funny because those are really great, like when you talk about just mixing bourbons, those are some of the ones that we always go to when we're mixing a cocktail. I mean, you can drink them on their own, but they're definitely great for mixing.
We had process first year where we were trying different things for different cocktails, and that was basically most voted.
Yeah.
You know, most of the customers, most of the old-fashioned guys, they prefer this particular version.
Right.
We also offered a couple different bourbons in beginning just to test the territory, and the old-fashioned guys, over 50% was for the Buffalo Trace, and then we stick with that. Now there's specific people, they will try to mix with something else which will double the price of the cocktail, but I think whatever is original, you should stick with it, and then you can experiment at home or somewhere else, and always try whatever is standard in the house, because it's not just from one person, It's from the, from the clientele.
Exactly, and you've tested. You know it works based on client response. So
That's right.
And we've said it everywhere we've gone, Jay, that, and we're excited to meet your bartender, because good bartenders matter, right? I mean, you get bad cocktails, or they make it too strong, or it doesn't. I mean, that makes a difference, and especially, and I think, kind of building off of why you come here, I get a very friendly vibe. People can walk in. You don't have to be an expert, right? In bourbon, you could say, hey, I want to try something new. Ladies might want to come in and say,
Experts, that's why. And we help. There is a lot of knowledgeable customers, for sure. There is probably some, they know more than me, but they don't know more than me and know it together.
You know everything. You know, right?
That's right. And
tell us about the cheese plates. I mean, I'm looking at this. This is fantastic.
we are too small. We didn't want to cook. Even we have a hood, and we have one more floor, but we are a little tight. We are specialized in this cocktails, and we are trying to always go with the flight option, where you can get pretty much 70% of the pour for the half of the money. You buy 3, and it will be 1 ounce instead of ounce and a half, but you pay half price. And then we have special days where there's extra discount on Wednesdays, just for the whiskey lovers who wants to explore. And cheese plate is very important, because to be able to tell the difference properly, especially when you have a flight, you should drink water and eat something. Right. We didn't want to offer just the crackers and stuff like that. We add a little bit of prosciutto, peppers, sun-dried tomatoes, olives, and then your experience is much better.
Absolutely. We went down to a tasting at Angel's Envy, and they actually had chocolate, which I never thought about, because I always associate that with wine. But cheese and meats and chocolate, all those things, to your point, bring out the taste. Yeah.
But for the, let's say, whiskey lovers, if you're gonna have tasting, we charge for the cheese plate. But if you are, drinking, if you are drinking little higher shelf, then it's complimentary. If you are spending a little bit of money, then of course we're gonna, supply you with something like that.
So what has been the hardest, like in recent times? Is there a bottle that's been very difficult to get?
Old Forester birthday bottle is out of reach. The reason why I'm complaining, because before I was able to get even a case of it. Now I cannot even get hands on one bottle. Peppy was always a problem, but that was no problem. Now we have a couple of bourbons, they are just disappearing, and they are super hard to find. I don't know what exactly is going on. I'm hoping, hope actually dies last. I'm hoping that it will catch up with the time. We'll see.
Weller Foolproof has been another one that's been hard to get.
We did have 2 bottles this year, but looks like this is it.
They go fast too.
They go super fast.
Really good bourbon.
Yeah.
It's a really nice bourbon. We were lucky to get Weller 12.
Yeah, I saw that.
We saw that.
That's what he was saying.
I had my eye on that when I was looking at your site.
We were lucky with that, but I mean, from time to time we get hands on something good, but there's always something coming.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. You're moving stuff.
That's right.
And it's kind of, and so you come in here. I think it's another great point of why to come here is you come here 1 month, come back the following month. You might not even see the same whiskeys necessarily. So before we meet your bartender, we'd like to do a small, just a small taste of something that you like. Yes. What's your favorite?
Yes, I'm gonna give you 1 Scotch, and then we're gonna go to I'm gonna give you this Japanese, what I was saying, and then you're gonna pick 1 bourbon.
Right.
This is my fight for the Scotch, for the bourbon, and for the Japanese.
Very nice.
The only problem I didn't bring glasses.
That's all right. 1 Japanese. Neutral sir.
Yeah, I'm gonna fix it. Give me just a second. But take your time with it. Make sure you sip on it. Make sure you put something in your mouth. You eat a little bit. Drink water.
This is so sweet. Do you smell it?
Not yet.
And then
Oh, you're
enjoy
right.
it, guys.
Isn't that good?
Enjoy it. They're all sippers.
Oh my God, give me a fist bump on that one. That is good stuff. That is really good stuff. And you wouldn't know that was 100 proof.
No,
That is smooth bourbon.
not cask drink, but definitely usually has more heat when it's 100 proof.
Yes.
And that is a very smooth
oh,
bourbon.
good stuff.
And you're right, it's definitely got a sweetness to it.
Bourbon. Where do you have to get a bottle of that?
I know.
Is that pretty available or not?
Not really. Not.
Jay, you're killing us.
Is it? No, it's reasons to come back to the east side.
We have to come back to the whiskey shop.
I know.
Whi-
the
Whiskey bar.
You were in the restaurant business for a long time. What's that experience like compared to owning the whiskey bar?
I think it's all depends on individual. If you do something what gives you joy at the moment, doesn't really matter what it is. When I was a little younger, that restaurant business it's hard work, it's a lot of work, it's 7 days a week, but I did enjoy it, and I did work for years because I like the scene. Then, for example, when I started family, when I started to having kids, then I saw that it's not really attractive for my lifestyle anymore. But I did enjoy my decade very much.
Of course.
I was partying and making money and having time and interact with people was super nice. And then little kids are coming, little different preferences, and this is more unique. I never really want to have a bar where you need security and we wanted something specific. Something more mature.
Sit down and relax.
That's
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
that's right. When I hit my 40s, then I changed the gear.
We all do, Jay. We all
Exactly.
do.
All right, so we're gonna try our next pour. What are we having for the second drink?
We're gonna try Japanese whiskey. This is Nika from the barrel. Will be full body, little stronger but smooth. Proof is a little higher.
And we've had Nika before.
This is much better than the regular.
Oh, I know. That's
What was the
I'm
one
excited.
we had? The coffee?
We had the one that is right there.
Yeah.
Coffee malt or grain. These are most of the time you can find in the store.
Yeah.
This is.
This is a little better. And there's one more secret about this bottle.
It's good stuff. You could taste the Scotch influence.
Yes, of course.
But it's not. But to your point, it's exactly. I
Yeah.
think for a bourbon drinker, this is a good balance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely will be much easier than try something else from Japanese world. But I think the odd look from the bottle, they didn't sell enough. And this is the only whiskey which didn't go up with the price. They even lowered a couple dollars, I believe. I didn't pay attention 100%, but I think they're a little cheaper than they used to be. And it's a great drink.
Honestly,
is
I'm
really
still in awe when I say great bourbon selections. Now you've set the bar higher than almost everyone because there aren't. I would love to actually see like who's got more bottles
This
than
is.
you.
Yeah. Well, he has unique bottles too, which is really cool.
That's what I'm saying. It's not about volume. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
literally discrete bottles. You can't beat it.
I had in mind to put it as a library, but not for reading, just for.
So that was delicious. We're going to move on to our third and final drink of Jay's flight. And Jay, tell us a little bit about what we're going to be drinking. This is going to be a Scotch now.
This is Scotch. We are drinking Isla Scotch. Will be Lafroy 10, sherry oak finish, and 10-year-old. A lot of flavors.
Yes.
But very, very different than first two.
This is one of your go-tos.
I like it. I like it a lot. just take your time with it. Don't judge it on the first sip. Take your time, drink water, sip on it, don't hit it, and sniff it, play with it, and then you're gonna see that it's quality drink.
That is good. It's a lot of body to it. You know, it's not overwhelming. It's just, it's very aromatic. A lot of taste to it.
It is a lot of taste to it, and I think you brought up a great point, which it's like, don't just judge it on the first.
That's right. Don't judge it. Take your time with it.
You're right. It almost gets, I mean, I hate that it's almost, there's a little sweetness to it and a little smooth. Yeah.
And very smooth for the 10-year-old. I mean, you know, it feels like a super high-end drink.
Good stuff.
I like it a lot. That is really good. You said it's almost a little smoky to me.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's,
yeah. I mean, it has the scotch. All scotch has that peaty taste. So that's it, right?
Especially Isla Scotch.
Yeah.
But it's not overwhelming.
No,
which is
it's
what,
not.
What turns me off to certain scotches is when it's overwhelming. And I'm like,
You can't get past it.
Yeah.
And you can get, and yes, there is a peaty taste when you first taste it, but other flavors come out.
Yeah.
And Jay, you're exactly right. I think having some food with it as well, and just getting your taste buds going.
That's right. Take it easy. Maybe, you know, you can even sip on for 15, 20 minutes. Nothing is wrong with that, you know, to have an ounce of good scotch for a little bit of time, or any whiskey.
Lafroig 10. Definitely.
This is the special edition with the sherry.
Sherry oak finish. And so when we talk about accessibility, because I feel like you've got the inside scoop on accessibility of whiskey in general. How accessible is this?
Regular Lafroig 10 will be very accessible. This particular one is not.
Another reason you have to come to the whiskey bar.
That's right.
Jay is setting us up with the most hard to get. He got us hooked now. We're hooked now on all this. And Jay knows. So Jay's like, well, you got to come back and have some more.
I told you the problem, you know, don't go too high too fast. Take your time. You know, every decade you move one thing. Because the problem is when you go up, it's hard to go down. And then there's no place to go up. And it's super costly.
I heard a quote one time. They said when you fly in a plane and you're trying to come up in life, you know, you get your job, fly first class. Because once you do, you're going to want to do everything you can to earn enough to always fly first class. So Jay, we can't thank you enough for all your hospitality. You know, as we said earlier, the vibe we get here is a friendly vibe. You could be a bourbon connoisseur. You could be somebody who doesn't know anything, just wants a nice, quiet evening out.
Yeah. Or you could get the J flight, which, quite honestly, between bourbon, Japanese whiskey, and Scotch is a winner. I mean, what we just
Jay's hook is you can't get this anywhere else. You have to come to the whiskey bar. But here at 2767 Euclid Heights Boulevard, right here in Coventry. Just a great atmosphere, a basement area, and then this upstairs area. Come here for a cocktail. Come here for just a nice bourbon. Jay or one of his folks here will set you up and tell you what you can drink based on whatever your budget is.
Exactly, and I think that's part of it is that you have a selection, and outside of the great, you know, friendly vibe that you get here, but you have the ability to have bourbon straight, or you can have cocktails that we reference. The well bourbons are way better than most well bourbons, and it's all done with purpose. So we can't thank you enough, Jay. This is fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jay.
We do educate our customers and, you know, guide them based on the, you know, budget or situation or whatever they like. We also try to advertise new things to try, because, you know, more you try, then more you explore, you find more details, or sometimes you end up somewhere you thought you don't belong, but there's no rules.
I'll tell you what, this is a hidden gem. Because if you haven't been here, you need to stop out here.
Absolutely.
We literally we love bourbon. We've seen a lot of bourbons. We've never had Remus, and as I look at this wall, we've got some homework to do.
That's right. So welcome back. We just had a great conversation with Jay Novak, the owner of the Whiskey Bar, and now we're going to meet Noé. He's going to walk us through a bunch of different drinks, and as a mixologist, this ought to be exciting.
That's right. So what do we have first on tap?
Thank you very much. My name is Blvd. Thank you very much for coming in today. I'm a bar manager, mixologist. I'm here to help you with everything. And the first cocktails that I'm gonna make for you is just our classic highlights on our menu. So I'm gonna be making for you today some Sazerac.
And that's obviously one of our favorites.
I love Sazeracs. I already see the absinthe there. He's doing it the right way.
Yes. So Sazerac, I love to make this cocktail because this is one of the oldest cocktails in the history on the bourbon and whiskey.
And you're using the Woodford Reserve for the Sazerac.
Using a rye for Sazerac, Woodford Reserve. So we have some cognac, rye, peach bitters, and a little bit of just simple. So we're gonna let it chill here for just 1 second, and then we're gonna start get going the other one. This is gonna be a regular Manhattan. So we have once again Woodford rye, and this equal parts with Scotch, maraschino, sweet vermouth.
Now, how did you learn some of this stuff, Noe? Is it sort of self-taught, or did you?
Well, I started like everyone else, working from one place to another. I started like really late in the 90s. So at this point, like I'm very proud to say that I'm one of the longest bartenders that I know before mixologists came around. Like I started like really back in the 90s. I have worked in, I have lived in 6 countries, 16 cities, and I have worked in, for the food industry in New York City, 4 cities in the United States. Also, I worked at one time for Princess Cruises around the world, working behind the bar. So I became a wine sommelier 20 years ago, and then I kept going with my career. And because I just like knew back then that I always gonna be working behind the bar, so that's when I started learning a little bit of everything. So I started as a whiskey sommelier. So I never finished my all the way down, but I got stuck right on the center, where it exactly kind of gave me the confidentiality to know about like pretty much all the theory behind whiskey. You know, how you can make whiskey from different grains, what's the characteristics of so many. And in my career, I ended up living in Ohio and meeting Jay like 3 years ago, and now since then I've been here for already 2 years.
I was gonna say, yeah. So what brought you to Ohio?
So of course, my wife, she's a music therapist.
There's always a woman involved.
We moved here, and I worked in a few places before the pandemic. And then now here at the whiskey bar.
Okay. So being, sommelier in both wine and almost finishing it, but going as far as you have in both, that's amazing accomplishment. What, are there similarities, and which do you prefer when it really comes down to it?
So on whiskeys, definitely I love all the bourbon suites made out of corn, but also I'm very impressed about scotches made out of barley. All of them, they're gonna be smoking peaty on the back, but on the front, very different profiles. So there's very different whiskeys that you can use, honestly, as a remedy, even for temperature, for anything else. So yeah, a whiskey definitely will warm you, will cool you, it will make you forget like whatever happened during the day, and we have lots of them,
In a way, having spent so much time around the world, really, do you think whiskey is, clearly very popular in the U.S. Has it gained, popularity outside of the U.S.? Maybe not necessarily bourbon per se, but just whiskey in general.
Whiskey in general, yeah. Whiskey in general, like in Europe, it's like more than 500 old, and the U.S. is like more than 200 years old,
Yeah.
right? Like, and of course we're impressed what they have, and they are impressed with what we have over here.
Right.
You know, like if you go to their country, to their bars, and see like the seriousness they put to have a bar with all these very, very famous high-priced scotches,
Right.
but all of a sudden on the bar they have some of the, you know, the stars of the Bourbon War, and they very impressed of like, you know, everything what has been accomplished to make high-profile whiskeys, you know. It's a little absentee.
So what drink is the most popular? What cocktail?
Every single person who walks in the door, I always like walking through the menu, and I tell them that our old-fashioned made with buffalo trace is one of our highlights on our menu. It's hard to get. This is the provision style recipe. So this is how like everything started 200 years ago, right? Now the cherry model with the orange that was very famous in James Bond's movies like in the last century, but that really happened like 100 years after. This is how it just started, all right? So that's one of our highlights. The other one, it will be our Manhattan, made with our Woodford rye.
So I'm going to go ahead and try the first cocktail. I'm going to go with the Manhattan, made with Woodford Reserve rye. So again, Manhattans. I mean, not many are made this
Smooth
well.
stuff.
And I love this the actual martini glass that you give. It keeps it so ice cold. That's it. This is actually something I haven't seen.
And that's with the
Any of
Woodford Reserve Rye.
That's right, Woodford Reserve Rye. This is definitely one. This is ice cold.
So I'm going to try the Sazerac, and I have to admit I've not tried it with the cognac before. I've usually had it with the bourbon and then the coating of the glass with the absinthe. So this is going to be interesting. Oh. Now, how much absinthe did you put in? Did you coat it or did you put some in?
No. I just, I would say like a table
Yeah.
teaspoon.
Yeah. This is really good. It's not overpowering either. You know, it's just a very smooth, refreshing drink.
And I saw when you were making it, you were smacking the orange peel. So what was? I've actually never seen that either. So
I like really to twist the orange or anything. If you just slap it, it will release all the oils of the fragrance.
That's a good trick.
You know?
That's a very good trick.
On top of the.
so it's functional and cool.
So we're going to try the old fashioned now, our last drink, and we have a very special taster. Our guy behind the scenes who helps us, Jim Vlakelis.
That's right.
Jim doesn't want to talk, but we will allow him to give us his first impression.
We'll interpret what he
We
thinks.
will interpret him.
But Jim is a bourbon enthusiast, and this is one of his favorite drinks.
Very good.
Good stuff?
Excellent.
Jim Vlakelis approved.
Exactly. Need you say more? Right. A mixologist is another level that you definitely are, and you tell when you know how the time you take in and how precise these drinks are. These are fantastic cocktails.
Well, the fact that you've worked on a cruise ship, I think you said, you have definitely worked with demanding customers. So I would suggest, all kidding aside, you know, it's a good experience to come to a bar where somebody knows what they're doing behind the bar.
And by the way,
recommend.
a sommelier and whiskeys.
That's
I
right.
mean, I know that you said you didn't complete it, but you went way farther than anyone ever does. And it's not just understanding how to make the drink, but you know the science behind it.
That's right.
And everything that's involved. So that's pretty amazing.
So, you know, as we sort of wrap things up, let me ask you this. Noe, what would you tell people when they're trying to figure out a place to go for the night? You know, maybe just the guys or maybe the couple. What would you say about the Whiskey Bar? Why would you come here?
give us a try. Definitely, you won't regret it. It's a great place. If you don't know what to order, what to drink, it's perfect. You know, we have more than 500 choices. We can tell you what, and pretty much what all the time I tell people. Like I try to like find out like if that's the first time walking in, and because sometimes I see people like they walk in and they ask for a martini, and I was like, you know, like right away I know that they just got here by mistake. But sometimes I just like start talking to them, start to find out what exactly what they need, and if not, I like to walk them. And pretty much the way that I walk them is this wall is beautiful. All of them are whiskeys. It goes from a transition from sweet on your left to a spicy on the center to a smoky on this side. So that means that top to bottom on your left, you're gonna find all the sweet whiskeys made out of corn from the sweet transition, going into the spicy, everything in the center is made out of rye. And finally on this side, in order to be a scotch, has to be from Scotland, made out of barley, and that will be the smoky one. What you can do on the fly, you can do, excuse me. So what you can do on the fly, you can do one of each and see the difference between them, right? But if you already are a bourbon aficionado, you can choose 3 different bourbons and have fun, or 3 different ryes or scotches, whatever you like, you know? Bottom shelf is gonna be mass production. Mass production means like 2 to 5 years, and then it keeps growing. So top shelf, top dollar, that's how it goes. We have everything from $5 all the way to $500 a shot. In our collection, we have French, Japanese, Irish, Canadian, Indian, English, domestic. Yeah. So we have a little bit of everything, and you have me, then I can tell you what to drink, you know, how to invest your money. So it's a win-win, you know.
So again, the Whiskey Bar, you have to check it out, 2767 Euclid Heights Boulevard here in Coventry, just in Cleveland Heights. Just a great experience, nice vibe, great area. Park, pull up, walk in, enjoy yourself, meet Jay, meet Noe, and you'll have a great experience.
I was gonna say, just ask for Jay or Noe, and they will take care of you. This is the options are almost endless. I honestly, the selection that you have is off the charts. But we can't thank you enough. This was, you know, the hospitality, great vibe in here, and obviously you guys know your whiskey. So thank you so much, Noe.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
And just remember, subscribe to Suburban Bourbon on YouTube. We love people who visit the site and watch our videos, but we also want you to subscribe. It helps us and helps us do more than what we want to do.
Oh, that's right. One more thing. Subscribe.